My generation is not a metaphor. I'm sure you're expecting more, right? You want me to make it sound pretty. You want me to make it consumer-friendly, like something you'd find in a poetry book. You're expecting a braised brisket of metaphors with simile sauté and a lesson of the day shoved in your face? Or perhaps an over-based-in analogy with a side of dinner rolls and a helping of forced rhyme scheme, just in case? No, I'm not going to do that. Because my generation is not a metaphor. My generation is the pits, just the pits. I don't mean that we're a bastion of body musk, encompassing all in sight, a plague upon all factories, and upon decency. No, that is not my generation. My generation is one of consumers, and I repeat, I don't mean that we devour goods mercilessly, led by product placement, aimlessly wandering the urban bleakness in search of an outlet for our aching pocket change. No, that is not my generation. My generation has no need for wordplay. It has no need for tact. Irony? Screw it. Rhetoric? Who needs it? My generation has no need for any of that. My generation is not a metaphor. My generation is merely a consumer.
Imprisoned in a land of liberty, where the most moving patriotism is brought on by disaster, I live in a home that isn't mine. A society of dead ends, hard knocks, and tough breaks. My mom can redecorate the house as many times as she pleases, but we are paying debts to people who will take it away with ease. I don't like the way the world works, and no one will attack me. If we could live off of full moons, if we could drink Swan Lake water, sleep on the back porch, shower in our dreams, lick the sap right off of trees, I wonder if it will make Lady Liberty stand up a little straighter. I want more for you. I wish I could give you more, she says, but she is choked and gagged by the suits and collars, the corruption and chaos, America the Great. She said it used to be a lot different here. And then the Christians cut down the trees, monks engulfed themselves in flames. She said it used to be a lot different here, before the earth became a commodity. And now we have capitalism, income, and quotas, but we've lost compassion and integrity. From all the way up here, she says, I never used to feel so separated. This full moon is empty, and they've sucked the Swan Lake dry. Weeping willows soak in envy. If only the God we voted off the coin would garnish them with Christmas lights. I pretend that they are stars, and they are all shining for me.
I'm from the district where everyone keeps their distance. I'm trying to pass school, but there's this thing called a system. And I sleep in a village where death comes to who squeals. No one knows the meaning of life, because we're all living to kill.
I come from a home with a forbidden language, but I speak it loud and proud within the corners of my own thought. I come from collard greens. I come from fried chicken. I come from D.C. I come from North Carolina.
We at war with ourselves. Does anyone else think it's an issue? I know kids in middle school that are trading pens for pistols, and they run in the streets without knowing half of the rules, but I guess that's their meaning for getting homeschooled.
I come from empanadas. I come from chorizo. I come from República Dominicana. I come from Puerto Rico. I come from Yukahu, Lord of cassava and seed. I come from Asabe, goddess of fresh water and fertility. I come from the Father. I come from the Son. I come from the Holy Spirit. I come from Virgin Mary.
Everyone in life struggles one way or another, but I gotta go to jail if I want to see my brothers. And they not mad because they have everything I have at home. And where I'm from, basketball courts become danger zones.
I come from Juan Marichal. I come from Gwinnett Maria. I come from La Noche and Arise in La Dia.
Yet, we still playing them. We gotta show no fear. And at night, I let the heavy rain wash away my tears. But we stay here, chilling, feeling for no sorrow. I gotta treat every day like there's no tomorrow.
I come from You're Too Dark, You're too light. You have pretty eyes, so you must be half white. I come from your hips are too wide. Your breasts are too big. Any man you get will turn out to be a pig. I come from infatuation. I come from lust. I come from a daze. I come from a thought. I come from a deed. I come from a sin.
What does it mean to not rest in pieces when fiends is trying to get prestigious and Jesus' chains are being sold for knives? I gotta pray to keep my life while pimps are selling their wives.
Me llevo el diablo y me degrima si Dios quiere.
She walk in the corner selling her thighs. Such a cute girl. But I know she's selling me lies. You can't get out when you already in. I get an hour of pleasure for a lifetime of sin.
Me llevo el diablo y me degrima si Dios quiere.
She's hard-headed, but just like her breast, she's soft, trying to stack up to move downtown to a loft, so she walks with angels and sleeps with demons, and the devil sneaks up trying to kill her when she's sleeping.
The devil took me, and I was afraid. Help me, Father. Help me.
Trying to stop her from breathing, but she shows no weakness. Nighttime, people sneak and try to take her agreement. I bear witness to all the struggles of my time. There's no point in loving, because we're living to die.
General Omar Bradley said,
General Omar Bradley said,
"Grasp the mystery of the atom,"
and rejected the Sermon on the Mount. Ours is a world of nuclear giants and ethical
we
infants.
know more about war than we know about peace.
We know more about killing than we know about living. We were left off the cliff of our own perception, dangling off the edge of understanding.
For the homeless man in DuPont Park, conversing with your sanity, you know only of what the world has shown you. You play chess with yourself to remind you that kings and queens still roam, even when you pawn your ambition.
And I see you, for the young girl too young to talk, but still old enough to cry. You dream of moon men, spaceships, and kingdoms, walking down a leader street just to get yanked by your mother who promised that she would never treat her daughter the way her mother treated her. Sometimes we stray away from legacy just to come full circle, and I hear you.
To you, wherever you may be. Miles from where we are standing, you were crippled at your conception. You fought for your life
and threw your first punch at God.
Please forgive me if I say that your smile is a summer symphony of wine-colored roses, powdered blue tulips,
mustard-colored dandelions, and white oleander blossoming beauty. But how can we forget you? You rotate with conviction as we grow forts in your trees, we picnic in your hair, and we walk to the shoreline of your eyes and swim in your tears.
Your ocean, we beat the mother out of earth.
And I feel you.
With rockets aimed at our small white house, and nuclear weapons on standby. Our nation is held hostage, and she is constantly worried for her life.
Our Lady Liberty, watch her walk on water, swimming in the Atlantic Ocean of lost lives and bathing in the Pacific of forgotten soldiers. Her kids replace pencils
for pistols, backpacks,
for helmets, and on the first day of school, they pledge their allegiance.
Homeroom, our platoon.
There are guns pointed to their heads, always reminding us that in every ghetto, our only way out is behind bars, or in a body bag, or on our way to Iraq.
But tonight, we will light up the waters of abandonment, filling lanterns with the hearts of newborns.
Too young and already bruised, but showing their fathers the way home.
Tonight, we will turn off our TVs and listen to the prayer calls in Mecca.
Dancing.
Black from her abaya, lured lilac from her burak that is hiding her body, but her soul is showing.
Dancing-eyed gypsy in a Bedouin flame.
Off the cliff of our perception.
Dangling off the edge of our own understanding. The world is going crazy, and we are doing only what we know best.
Looking.
Hearing. Feeling the weight of the world on our shoulders. Writers.
We have the hardest job of all. Fighting a war of our own. Fighting not to forget. Writers. We have the hardest job of all. Fighting a war of our own. Fighting not to forget. Writers. We have the hardest job of all.